been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
What was the crime of which you were convicted? Did you in fact commit those acts?
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Privacy was very important to Jeffrey Epstein.
My sources tell me that somebody from British intelligence came through the vents.
Through the vents? What do you mean by that?
Through the vents in the cell.
Please state your full name.
Same answer. I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Do you have any evidence to suggest otherwise?
The CIA was using children to compromise pedophile politicians.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution anywhere at any time?
Again, I'm going to assert my right.
What'd you study?
Physics.
Mr. Epstein built little cabanas and beach houses all across the island.
66 different days that he violated his probation. He would go to the airport, jump in his helicopter, who knows where he went.
Yes, I report back to jail at 8 p.m.
Every single day?
Yes, sir.
Conspiracy, witness tampering, prostitution, blackmail, extortion, you name it.
Their goal is to cover this up.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?
No, in fact, the Supreme Court recently said that the Fifth Amendment right is there to protect the innocent. So that's the way I'd like to answer that.
Talk about Jane Doe 102, Virginia Roberts.
What's the last name? How's it spelled?
Do you know Virginia Roberts?
So she's, again, who?
They're untouchable. So I understand people saying, why didn't you just go to the cops?
Prosecuted for these crimes.
Right.
Isn't that right?
They did.
Objection argument.
Didn't matter. He owned the cops.
And calls for a legal conclusion.
Can you spell it? Can you spell it for me, please?
What's up, folks? This is ETHEREUM. This is the Epstein Files, and this is somewhat breaking news within the last hour or two. John Luc-Brunel, notorious French sex offender and one-time fashion titan in the French fashion world, was found dead in his cell this morning following the way of his friend, Mr. Egghead himself, Jeffrey Epstein. Good morning to people checking in. Alleged model / agent pimp, MC2 models with headquarters in Tel Aviv, Israel, and New York City, New York, I believe. The Frenchman was found hanging in his Paris jail cell. 76 years old at the time of death, was found during a nighttime check early this morning at La Santé. Officials told Le Monde, I think that's how you say it. His attorneys told the paper that the apparent suicide was not driven by guilt, but by a deep sense of injustice. Epstein and Brunel accuser Virginia Giuffre said it was unfortunate that the Frenchman would not face trial. The suicide of John Luc-Brunel, who abused me and countless girls and women, ends another chapter. I am disappointed, but that I was not able to face him in a final trial and hold him accountable for his actions, but gratified that I was able to face him in Paris to keep him in prison. Brad Edwards, attorney who has represented Robert Giuffre, said he believes the Frenchman took his life because he knew his fate was sealed. Edwards said he and Epstein made it only as long as there was hope of getting out. Virginia's testimony in France was a major factor in Jean-Luc being jailed. Her recent settlement with Prince Andrew solidified her as a highly credible person, so it cannot be a surprise that he took the same cowardly path as his old pal to avoid true accountability. I feel bad for his many victims, but this does not have much impact at all on our investigation, which continues to strengthen. Brunel founded not just MC2 models, but Karin models, Karin, and was initially investigated by French authorities in August of 2019 before being arrested in December of 2020, attempting to board a flight to Dakar, Senegal. Rimy Heights prosecutor said in a statement that Brunel is suspected of having committed acts of rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment on various minor or major victims, and of having, in particular, organized the transport and accommodation of young girls or young women on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. His name appears more than 15 times on flight manifests for Epstein's Lolita Express. He also visited Epstein dozens of times during Epstein's first time in jail in Florida. Logs from Epstein's Palm Beach home, which were at one point in time managed by Nicole Hesse, as we learned in the trial, included messages from Brunel. In one note, quote, "He just did a good one, 18 years, who told him I love Jeffrey." And another, Brunel stressed that he has a teacher for you to teach how to speak Russian. She is 2x8 years old, not blonde. Lessons are free, and you can have first today if you call, which means 2 by 8, 16 years old. Joffrey said a lot of the girls came from poor countries or poor backgrounds, and he lured them in with the promise of making good money. Epstein has told me that he slept with over 1,000 of Brunel's girls, and everything that I've seen confirms this claim. Allegations of misconduct have predated the Epstein scandal. In a 1988 60 Minutes episode, American models who worked with him were interviewed who accused him of molesting and drugging them. He said in a 2015 statement, "I strongly deny having committed any illicit act or any wrongdoing in the course of my work as a scouter or model agency's manager. I have exercised the utmost ethical standard for almost 40 years. French police have now opened an inquiry into Brunel's death, and likewise with Epstein's death. Conspiracy theories are already abounding, as they like to say. They love that phrase, conspiracy theory. It was around 1 a.m. this morning, local time in Paris, that he was found. And this is big. So we got two big events in a matter of like 3 days. And that's Virginia Roberts Giuffre and Prince Andrew settling. And the other being the fact that Jean-Luc Brunel just killed himself, allegedly. Allegedly killed himself. Now, did he kill himself? Or was he helped into killing himself like Mr. Epstein was? It's, I think, a little tougher to say in this case, but I would imagine that you can't rule out an assassination. Once, especially given what I mentioned, the Roberts Giuffre settlement, and now everybody's tweeting about this on the tweeters. Marlon Ettinger tweeted about it. Ginger's page. Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel didn't kill themselves. Who agrees? And I wanted to get on this ASAP. What is Jean-Luc Brunel and Jeffrey Epstein got in common? Neither of them killed themselves. And there's actually a picture, the only picture, I think, in court where one person wasn't identified, officially identified in court. And pardon me with the lighting here. This is not... hello, Carmen. Thanks for checking in. Sue, does it pass the sniff test? Here, let me pull this up so you don't have to see my mediocre background at the moment. I want to say it's this one. There it is. On the right there. This picture was shown in court during the trial. Never identified, but identified by eyesight by people who were attending the trial. And that's Jean-Luc Brunel there, sitting next to Jeff Epstein as he's getting a massage from Ghislaine Maxwell. So Looks like justice is evaded once again by someone's hand. Whether it's Brunel's own hand, we probably will never know for sure. And if you notice on the thumbnail, Brunel is wearing a cap. I think it says, well, you can read it if you want to read the thumbnail. You can see where his support lies. For those that don't already know. And I'll just let people figure that one out. All you have to do is look at the thumbnail and see. And you also want to, kind of look at where one of his headquarters is based, not New York, but the other place. So those ties continue. Those ties to that greatest ally, they are becoming more and more revealed, I think, on a wider level. And it does seem that the only reason Brunel was arrested at Charles de Gaulle Airport in December 2020 was due to Virginia Roberts Dufresne's testimony. I think it was in 2020 as well, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been a little bit earlier in 2019, but in the months preceding the end of 2020. Just to reiterate, Maxwell is getting sentenced on the 28th of June, facing up to 65 years in prison, which is basically 25 to life, as I said. And Andrew settled a civil sexual lawsuit, a case against him. And as of yesterday, day before yesterday, when I was in the courthouse. I'm actually in New York right now, for those that don't know. That wasn't official yet, and Judge Lewis Kaplan said that they submit the stipulation of dismissal by the 17th of March, and they still haven't done that. So they have about a month to do that. So there is a small chance that could, take another 180. But if they're coming out publicly saying it, perhaps not. I just don't know why they didn't. Why they haven't officially turned in their documents yet. It's not official until they do so. So Judge Kaplan was just saying that they should do that by the 17th of March, 2022. And loose ends, yes, I think so. They're picking them off one by one, those loose ends, snipping them, root and stem. Well, not really stem, mostly like on the branches, so people can't see what's going on. And they really don't want to take out the root and the stem. They want to. So, another waypoint here today on the 19th of February, 2022, with Brunel in custody just over a year or so in Paris, before being found hanging in his cell early this morning, about 1 a.m. local time. And just want to update people on Maxwell, docket entry from yesterday. This is to Allison J. Nathan, Honorable District Judge. The court is in receipt of the parties' proposed redactions to the defendant's motion for a new trial, the government's response in opposition, and the defendant's reply. The parties did not propose any redactions to Scotty David's motion, nor the parties' letters dated on the 13th of January. The defendant submitted a letter justifying her proposed redactions. And then, of course, the government responded. There are clear inconsistencies between the defendant's intended redactions and her proposed redactions. And between some of the proposed themselves, compare them to each other is what they're saying. This is Bobby Sternheim, I think. No, this is Judge Nathan. They're also the defendant also proposes redactions related to Juror 50, aka Scotty David's exact responses to the questions on his jury questionnaire, because it is being kept temporarily under seal. The court notifies the parties that Juror 50's completed questionnaire will be docketed in accordance with a forthcoming order. The defendant must accordingly eliminate proposed redactions premised on the sealing of Juror 50's questionnaire. The parties are hereby ordered to resubmit via email revised redactions to the parties' briefings by the 22nd of February, 2022. The revised proposed redactions shall be consistent with this order. So Judge Nathan is rejecting Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team's propositions for redactions on the questionnaire for Scotty David, which looks like it's incoming. And we're going to see what questions Scotty David was asked and how he asked them, it looks like. So it's just a question of time here, 3 days. So it should be, what is that, Tuesday, I think? 20, yes. So we should be able to access that questionnaire, I would assume, by the end of the day then, or maybe the next day thereafter. What's up, Greg Clark? P1 Dizzy Dawson is king. Question from Melanie. Wasn't Maxwell looking for another trial due to juror lying? That is the basis of juror gate. In a way, I mean, he's asserted he used his past abuse as a means to persuade other jurors. So I think it's going to come a lot down to the questionnaire, which I mentioned we're going to see in a few days here. So that being said, stay frosty, folks. This is big. I'm going to the city again today, so be on the lookout for that. And support me on Buy Me a Coffee if you could. Buy me a tea to be more accurate. Follow me on Twitter, one AddieAds, one spelled out. My website is addieads.one, one spelled out. Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/AddieAds, ADDYADDS. This is the Epstein Files podcast, found anywhere podcasts can be found, as well as my public intelligence podcast. Buy my book, please, folks. I just released my second book, which is a smaller book than my first book. It's called How to Cover the Ghislaine Maxwell Trial. It's kind of a first-person experience of diary-ish type thing of a day-by-day covering of the trial. My analysis of interactions with court administration, other reporters, independent or otherwise, and the trial's conclusion on the 29th of December. The paperback, I think, is available. Let me just double check on that because I submitted it, but Amazon sometimes likes to take a while to approve my books. But the ebook is ready. Okay, so paperback is still getting approved by the Amazonian overlords. However, the ebook is available, and it's $5.99 for the book. Ebook, $9.99 for the paperback once it gets approved by Amazonian overlords. And thank you, Carmen. Please like your video on the way out and leave a comment. It helps with algorithms no matter where you're watching this. Hopefully you're watching this on Rockfin, but if you're watching it somewhere else, that is totally fine. And I want to say, I think that's it. Yeah, and then my first book is also available, but I would wait for the second edition, which is incoming as well. Is that library real? No, it's not. You can see it kind of flickering there because my lighting is not ideal. I didn't set up my light. I was in a hurry to get streaming about this topic. So that being said, stay frosty, folks, and we will see everybody next time as I play my plug here.